Hello and welcome to another My Hero Academia Season 6 breakdown with today, Episode 4, Inheritance, which covers chapters 267, 268, 269 and 270. So for the first time in the season, we open up right away with a mixture of flashbacks and anime original commentary instead of the usual filler stuff we normally open up with. This being a mixture of scenes from Season 4 of Hawks helping Endeavour with the fight against the high-end Nomu Hood, and Tokiyami doing a quirk description commentary in place of Present Mike for Hawks' quirk, adding him to yet the surprisingly bigger list of people who've done it instead of Present Mike. And then very quickly on, we move straight on to covering chapter 267 with Hawks and Tokiyami sat on the roof talking about Hawks' weakness and how he deals with it. Continuing with chapter 267 with Fat Gum using Fat Taxi to move the UA kids away from the front lines as they've done their due diligence, and as the battlefield gets smaller they're just going to start getting in the way with their wide range quirks. While doing so, they see a flame explosion from Dabby's fight with Hawks, and then just before anything happens we move straight onto the OP. After the OP we move back to the Dabby and Hawks fight, continuing where we left off, with them actually removing a panel here of Hawks removing the feather from Twice's back and instead replacing it with this shot of Dabby preparing an attack, which looks real fucking good. And again, Hawks here running and like tumbling over while trying to pat on the flames on his back. Israel looks really good, which is just going to be a common theme for this episode because it is so fucking good with the animation. And now this cut here with Dabby's face, it looks fucking excellent. Again, they are nailing Dabby's expressions in this episode, and Hideo Shimono is fucking killing it here. And this shot of Dabby as well is just fucking mwah. And during this section we finally start to get a little bit into Hawks' backstory, seeing him being indoctrinated into the hero program as a wee kiddo. And in the scene it's revealed that Endeavour is actually Hawks' favourite hero and who he looks up to most, as Endeavour saved Hawks. Now this moment right here with Dabby revealing to Hawks who he was, I was always debating myself how exactly they were going to do it. Are they just going to be faithful to this one shot and just have it be completely mute? Or if they're going to do what they actually did, is zoom in on Dabby's mouth, having it move while everything's completely silent? Because obviously everything had to be completely silent because this fucking moment hits hard that way. And I love that they went with the zooming on his mouth, especially because from what I can tell, it's just random lip flaps. It's not actual words he's saying, unless I'm wrong, because obviously I don't speak Japanese. So if anyone can see that he's doing saying some kind of actual words, then please correct me. I'd love to know. This moment as a whole was done perfectly. Obviously the music had to be mute here. That's a given. But everything being mute, absolutely everything, the sound effects, the music, everything being mute was perfect. And keeping the mute as Stabby started talking again, only having his voice, and then the sound start to come back eventually. It was all so fucking good. And Hideo Shimono just absolutely fucking nails the delivery of Stabby's speech here. It's fucking immaculate, and I was more than ready to give him the MVP for the episode, but I'll be real, the shit got stolen from him. And during this we get a flashback to Season 2 with Stain's speech at the end after killing the Ring Nomu, and a really nice cut of Dabby preparing to go for the kill on Hawks as we cut to Gigantomachia just sat in rating. We then get the title card for the episode, Inheritance, and then we get another one of these HQ scenes, which I'm going to be skipping these over from now on. I might quickly mention them, like we get one and then just move on from it. Just know I'm not liking them. They're still harmless enough for me not to hate them, but they're just becoming a bit annoying at this point. And if I do talk on them properly in an episode, it will be because I've started to find them to be irritating. But now we actually get some reorganization, as this bit right here with Endeavour helping Crust and then Eraserhead showing up. It's actually in the beginning of chapter 268. There's a little flashback sequence, and I've got to say, I fucking love how massive Chubbs looks in this little flashback section they threw in. It's so he looks like a fucking unit and should be thrown on a chase or something. But then we move back to Adaptation 267 with Mirko still holding off no high-end Nomus, and my god, the animation here is fucking nice as Mirko just jumps and hops about, dodging hits and missing them as well. It's all so fucking good. And again, Sayaka Kinoshita fucking killing it as usual, and it's all just so fucking good. And again, they're still being so brutal with Mirko here. Like, honest god, Bones fucking heard people worrying about censorship within the anime and went, you worried about this? I bet. Just keep an eye on your favourite girl real quick. Like, fucking hell. but it's all so fucking good. Mirko hopping down the corridor to get to Shiggy and kill him. I love how they drew Mirko's face here. It's all so good. And Ribby too in this scene, just being so massive and imposing in the corridor. He looks so good. And I love that little glowing red that appears behind him as Endeavour shows up and fucking slams him into the ground. It's all so good. And that zooming on Mirko's eye as it goes in and moves over to the commercial card, it's all so good. And with that, ending our adaptation of 267. And now we move on with the commercial cards. And I'm liking these. We get Miracles again, which I'm not fucking complaining about. And we actually get Eraserheads this episode. Now we move on to properly adapting the rest of chapter 268. And Chub's getting fucking incinerated here looks brutal as shit. And honest God, this whole scene looks really nice with the animation. The only bit I'd say that doesn't look exceptionally good is Endeavour just hovering past it. But other than that, it all looks really nice. And especially that effect they gave Presence Mike's screen as it goes over Elephant Woman. I really like that. And that fucking gut punch Crust gave to Elef, that got some oomph to it. Now here, I love how messy Mirko is drawn as she's going in for the kill on Shiggy. And Shiggy too, he looks so good. That glow in his eyes in the tankard, oof, he looks so fucking good. Again, it all looks so good. And Garaki, his reactions are amazing both in the animation and in the vocals. I won't dwell on that too much because anyone who's been watching this whole series knows I've been doing that plenty. Now, this moment with Woman, this was a nice surprise as they gave it some love. The VA, she is amazing. I'm still unable to find who the actress is for her, unfortunately. But once I do, I'll be making sure to give her due diligence because she is amazing as Woman. And again, the special effects they've done here, especially like the currents going through her brain as she's figuring out Eraserhead's croak and its effect and whatnot. It's so good. And then this scene with the effect still going on, but it's completely dark, and that fucking Nightmare Before Christmas, that smile she does in the darkness is so good. And her running and dodging from Exless. Oh my god, that was nice. They have filled this episode with such good animation. And they also just riddled this episode with a bunch of instances of getting rid of attacker names. The first instance being here because she uses two of her quirk, liquidification and rupture, but they go unnamed in this episode, and there's plenty of cases of it throughout this episode, and I'm not sure as to why. It's not a bad choice, it just seems weird to me. Now here we cut back to Endeavour of Mirko, and Ribby is still alive because of all them bones in the man's skull. I love the little fucking whoop, whoop, whoop spin they did for his eye before attacking Mirko again. And Mirko, being the badass she is, fucking goes through the lunar arc, another attack name banner that we love to see. And this scream she does as she gets yanked back is fucking visceral. I love it. And then as she bangs into Endeavour, like flying through the tube out there, I fucking love it. They do these like moving tube shots all throughout this episode, and I love them. Just going a bit of a tangent real quick, like Bones, Horikoshi, why the fuck you gotta do this to Mirko? Fucking look at her. Fan favorite character, author favorite character. We all love her, and this is how she gets treated, man. Nah, we can't be allowing this. But yeah, after Mirko and Endeavour like land, he starts cauterizing the rune. Before he cauterizes the rune, there's actually supposed to be a line from Mirko that in the manga that they got rid of, as well as a page of her screaming out that Shiggy's in there, and then Preston Mike and Endeavour going, I bet we finna jump him. This is just another chapter cliffhanger that they gotten rid of because it's unneeded and it gets touched on in the next chapter that gets covered. So that's a perfectly fine getting rid of. And with that, it covers our adaptation of chapter 268, a fucking quick chapter in this episode, good lord. And now we move on to chapter 269 with Mirko going on the comments going like, yo, Shiggy's in there, he's in the tank, it seems like the tank and the Nomus are in, now they're gonna revive him in it, we need to ice that motherfucker. And then Eraserhead, I'm going to continue with another tangent real quick, because Eraserhead is the most disrespected character in the series by the fandom and people outside of the fandom. And now I want to talk about this motherfucker is a top tier hero and one of the strongest heroes here. Ignoring the fact that his quirk Eraser is one of the strongest quirks in the series, this motherfucker heard the information from Mirko, assessed the situation, and sent the two best people to deal with Shiggy while he stays there and helps deal with three high-end Nomus. Him being the only reason Chris and these two other unnamed heroes are actually being able to do damage to them, okay? Man made the perfect plan in an instance. But tangents aside, we continue off with Present Mike and Exlers running off to deal with Shiggy. Two things here. First, I love how fucking huge Ribby looks. honest to God, looks bigger, like he's grown in size during the fight. He looks so imposing, it's amazing. Second off, you got another fucking attack name that got removed, that being Shoot Shield from Crust here. Now we go on to this section with Garaki trying to salvage this shit show of a situation. And I love it, like how it looks, him tinkering about with the machinery and whatnot. It all looks so good. And President Mike running over these tubes and then screaming. It all looks so fucking good. And again, it's another fucking attack name that got removed. Loud Voice. Again, another attack that got removed. Don't know why. This bit, the tank breaking, that looks good, we expected. Why was Shiggy's fall so graceful and so gentle and smooth? I just thought it was going to be a quick onto the ground, but they made that shit beautiful. But speaking of attack names that got removed, of course, DJ Punch gets to keep its attack name, because why not? Quick little addition in post, because I've just realised something. I forgot to mention, this is where chapter 369 ends and chapter 370 begins. Whoops. And here we actually get a line removal here that, while I'm not opposed to, because it doesn't make the scene any better or worse, I personally am not okay with it, because the line here is from Exodus looking in the machinery and he thinks to himself, it'd be better off if I destroy it. The reason I'm upset with this being removed is because it was a running joke to blame Exodus for everything that happens after Shiggy's revival. But now we can't do that, because it's not implied he broke the machine, but it's putting the cable in the liquid to revive Shiggy, and I am upset with that. Now, here with President Mike carrying Garaki down to force him to cancel off Nonomu's, I think here's when Minoru Nabe gives his best performance for the season. Okay, he nails the scene here with his voice, a genuinely twisted, evil voice, but filled with passion and intrigue, and that fucking laugh he did. Again, the animators nailed his face, and it's all just so fucking raw. I love it to shit. And there's ever so slight reorganization, because originally it was Garaki gave a bit of his dialogue, then the President Mike gave a bit, and they kept interchanging. Here they just did it all Garaki, all President Mike. That's a perfectly fine change. That makes sense, and it's a bit less cluttered for the anime. Now we have this sequence, Shiggy's dream sequence. I've seen a lot of people online complaining, saying this was done poorly, this wasn't done good, and they ruined it. Then people are fucking tweaking. This shit was done perfectly. The way they got this 2-page spread, and instead of just making it like a full screen shot here, turned into this wide panning shot as you move to see the landscape down below. Fucking brilliant, okay? The music and just the general atmosphere of this scene, it's just so fucking good. And Koki Uchiyama and Arise Sekin, for their performances as Shiggy and Tenko respectively, are fucking immaculate. And one, this may seem like a cop-out, since they're both technically in the same character, I'm going to let them share the MVP award for this episode, because they both, honest to God, kill it this scene. Honest to God, this whole scene is done fucking perfectly, and I love how, like, as we cut from shot to shot, we don't see a gradual change in Shiggy. We see hard cuts, Shiggy to Tenko, and then back to Shiggy later on. It's all so fucking good. And a change in hair color goes from pure natural white as Shiggy to the black as Tenko. Then the grey that we associated early season Shiggy with, back to the... It's all so fucking good. And then I just want to mention it. This specific cut right here of Shiggy's face, I want to punch this little cunt. This looks like an absolute little shit that I just want to throw into the Pacific Ocean. And this final bit of Shiggy getting resuscitated, and that line, "Don't reject me anymore," getting repeated over and over. It's all so fucking good. This episode as a whole was immaculate, and this specific section was done flawlessly.